Hey everyone, welcome on into another episode of WRAL Triangle and 2. I'm Luis Fernandez. He is Mark Bergen. And Mark, we are almost at the college football season. We're going through and recapping storylines, what to watch for each of the ACC local teams. Let's go to NC State, Mark.
The Wolfpack. Can you go from good to great? We're doing storylines, top storylines for each team. If you didn't catch our videos with North Carolina and Duke, check those out. But we're talking about the Wolfpack. Can you go from good to great? You've had several years in a row now. You win 8 games, you win 9 games, you win 8 games, you win 9 games. Can you get to double-digit wins for the second time in program history? You've only done that in 2002. And I'm saying this, you go into the year ranked number 24. Ultimately, you want to play for the college football playoff and get in that top 12. Can Dave Dorn and NC State do it this season? That is my number one storyline for the Wolfpack.
And I think that's totally fair. They've been very, very consistent being in that kind of 7, 8, 9 window area. So it's like, okay, what comes next? And it's the timing of all of this is so interesting with that 12-team college football playoff, where before with the 4 teams, I mean, you had to win the ACC, be undefeated, and even then, with Florida State being the prime example of this, they didn't even guarantee that you were going to get into the college football playoff. Now you're hoping the ACC should be able to get 2 teams in, although we'll see how things go this season.
But at least you have one.
Exactly.
At least you have one.
So you have that possibility. Plus their schedule is, I don't want to say easy, but it is on paper easier than what you've seen in the past with NC State playing in the Atlantic. So I agree. I think that's a great place to start for these storylines. My storyline, next one I'm going to go with.
Lay it on us, Luis Fernandez.
KC Concepcion.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
He is the storyline in general. And I say that because he was so incredibly talented and good last year. He was the NC State offense. The way they used him, rookie of the year. He's preseason all ACC this year. Last year, 64 catches, 767 yards. He averaged 12 yards a catch. And then on top of that, when he ran the ball, because they did run the ball with him a lot, he averaged 7.8 yards per carry. So he is just lightning in a bottle. He is incredibly explosive. So I'm so curious to see what the next step is for KC Concepcion. He was primarily what they wanted to do on offense last year, and now they've expanded. They've grown. They've brought in different players, receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback, which I'm sure we'll get to here in just a second. So defenses are not going to be able to key in on KC Concepcion. How does that elevate his game as he moves into his true sophomore year?
Yeah, he was really impressive a year ago, and I thought he got better and better as the season went along. And I thought his success, there was some correlation to getting him the ball and getting him the ball in space to make plays to the team's success as well. So that was on my list of how you're going to utilize his skill set. That was not my number 2 pick, though, Luis.
I mean, I like to keep it interesting. I'm a sucker.
It's not a bad pick. It's just not my number 2.
I'm a sucker for good wide receiver play. So when I look at it like this, when I watch NC State this year, what am I going to be doing? And 9 times out of 10, when they get ready to snap the ball, I will be trying to find KC Concepcion on the field.
And I think that's fair, too, because you're talking about a player, if he continues at his trajectory, who likely has an NFL future. So that's fair.
And,
that's fair.
Coaches that watch NC State, that's going to be the first thing they try and figure out, too, is where is KC Concepcion on the field? All right, what you got next?
Grayson McCall.
Classic.
It's the connection with KC Concepcion. But he comes over from the Sun Belt, a multi-time conference player of the year there.
3-time. Only player in Sun Belt history to win the player of the year 3 times.
So how does that translate over from the Sun Belt to the ACC? I think it will translate over. I found it compelling that Dave Dorn, entering his 12th year, saying that he's grateful that McCall has transferred over. Because if you look at the quarterbacks on NC State's roster, this is no knock on any of them. I think it is 1 pass attempt of any other quarterback on the roster. So you bring over McCall, who has 10,000 yards passing at the collegiate level.
10,000
They need him to play at a high level, though. They need him to play at a high level because behind him, there's not the depth that you would have. So early on in the year, if the Wolfpack can get out to a big lead, I want to see some of the backup players. Remember, you can play, 4 games and still maintain your red shirt to get some actual in-game college experience, because McCall has that. I think he'll perform at a high level. I hate to even say that injuries can happen, but injuries can happen, Lewis.
So he has dealt with injuries in the past. So that is
Which is what I'm
something
saying.
to monitor. In past injury does not always correlate with future injury, but it is something to monitor. There is not a lot of experience behind Grayson McCall, that's for sure. But I mean, the thing you hit there was, will his experience translate to the ACC? And it's not like Coastal Carolina, where Grayson McCall I was at previously was just, kind of hanging out and doing their thing. Like they were a good team with Grayson McCall there, often kind of moving into that top 25 range. His touchdown to interception ratio was about 6-1 while he was at Coastal Carolina. So he took care of the ball, completed about 70% of his passes. So I don't think that NC State needs their quarterback to put on a cape and be Superman. I think NC State needs their quarterback to be able to run the Robert and I's offense well.
One other thing before you get to your other pick was too, with that, just run the offense, but also to maintain his health, to stay healthy. If you're trying to be Superman out there and taking hits that you don't need to take, you need Grayson McCall to stay healthy if you want to go and be in that conversation for the college football playoff.
Exactly. And, I think one thing I will say before I move on to my next point about Grayson McCall, when you look at, when you listen and talk to the wide receivers and a lot of the coaches that are involved with that offense, they've talked about his leadership and how it's kind of been about developing that chemistry early on, taking the young group of wide receivers under his wing, making sure everything is working out, building, growing, teaching. And I think that you brought up that word grateful. I think we could see Grayson McCall's impact go well beyond just how he is throwing the ball, but also who he is throwing the ball to, if that makes sense.
In the locker room. What's your next pick, Lewis? Because you've got the next one here.
So I think I could go a couple of different ways with this one. But I am going to go specifically with, back to kind of like the schedule, the first 4 games of the season. WRAL sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy has brought this up several times. Essentially, we will learn so much about this NC State season after the first 4 games.
Okay. Lay it on us. I can pull it up if you need me to.
The first game, Western Carolina, on Thursday, August 29th at Carter Finley Stadium. Game number 2 in Charlotte against the Tennessee Volunteers.
Our old stomping grounds when Lewis and I first started working together.
Working Knoxville.
Yeah. But that's going to be a neutral site game. I would expect to see more Wolfpack fans there, just given the proximity to Charlotte.
Tennessee fans are wild, man.
I know.
Tennessee fans are wild.
Vols fans, we love you, by the way. We love you.
I don't know. I'm expecting that just to be a raucous atmosphere.
It's kind of a coin flip game. Tennessee coming into the year ranked 15th.
So you got 2 top 25 teams there. Game 3, Louisiana Lafayette, I believe.
It is Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech.
Got you. I got
Louisiana Tech. And then game 4 at Clemson. So after you get through the first 4 games of the season, you are going to know just about everything you need to know about what the season's outlook will be in terms of a postseason. Now, we've seen NC State finish very well down the stretch last year. So it's not like your season is going to be over. But if they come out of that stretch 4-0 with wins against Tennessee and Clemson, then you are in the driver's seat to get to Charlotte for the ACC championship game and to possibly represent the ACC in the college football playoff.
And see, I'm looking at, though, and I hope this isn't stepping on one of your picks, but with the conference realignment, you're playing Cal and Stanford this year as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to be traveling a lot more than you were in previous years. Yeah. We mentioned the first 4 games, but hey, if you're going out to Cal, right? Going out to Berkeley, is because it's something you haven't done.
It's new, yeah.
Exactly. It's something you haven't done to this point.
So I think those first 4 games will tell us so much about this NC State team, particularly games 2 and 4.
All right, let me keep this easy. And I'm going to be simple like you, Lewis, in this regard.
Okay.
Replacing Payton Wilson.
Sure.
And you're talking about one of the most heralded defensive players in program history.
Yeah.
He's already beloved in Pittsburgh. He's a rookie linebacker. They feel like they got a because he flies around the football. And how do you replace that? And I don't think it's just one player. I know we've talked to the NC State players about stepping up. The defensive lineman who's defensive edge rusher, his name escapes my mind right now.
Talking about Davin Van.
Davin Van, yeah. And we've talked to him here at WRAL Sports about, what he expects to accomplish this upcoming season in his leadership role on the defense. How you fill that void is going to be huge for this defense. And that's really been the calling card for the Wolfpack of how have you won games? It's been playing as high level of defense as you can play and getting what you can from the offense the last few years. So how you fill that void of a guy where he wins the Chuck Bednarik Award. Again, I have nothing but good things to say, because when it translates on the field of not just the combine, him flying to the football, he's a playmaker that I don't think one guy just replaces, given what he gave to this program in his time with the Wolfpack.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a point I was going to bring up. So I think that's very good. And he's, he was so good for NC State, heartbeat of the defense, all of that stuff. For my final point here, I'm going to go from the heartbeat of NC State's defense the past few years to the brain of NC State's defense the past few years. Tony Gibson, their defensive coordinator.
Okay.
He is one of the best assistant coaches in the country, especially from a defensive perspective. So my storyline will be, how does he take this defense and elevate it, raise its ceiling this year? The defensive backs are very talented. Aiden White is one of the best cornerbacks in the country. 8 interceptions. He has not allowed a passing touchdown in 2 years. Which is,
good luck, ACC receivers. Good luck.
Who we attribute passing touchdowns to and responsibilities. That's according to NC State's official website. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
But what he's able to do with the defense consistently, he's one of those rare defensive coordinators or assistant coaches in general, where you don't worry. You say, he's there, he'll figure it out. He'll put something together. Just his presence raises the floor of NC State's defense, NC State's team. So, where is this defense able to go in general with him? So it kind of ties into what you were saying earlier, because there are a lot of pieces that you have to replace. But NC State's defense has proven that they are up to the task. And so their offense, see their growth there. One thing I'll point out, so NC State had 3 losses last year in the regular season, right? The Notre Dame loss, bunch of rain. It was at Carter Finley. Notre Dame was obviously the better team that day.
I was there, and it's like you go into PNC Arena for about an hour, you come back, and Estime, the running back for Notre Dame's running off for a touchdown as soon as you get back into the stadium.
So the other 2 games that NC State lost, versus Louisville and at Duke, their offense scored just 13 combined points in those games.
And that's not going to get it done.
And, they lost to Louisville, I believe it was 13-10. And then the Duke game was 24-3. So oftentimes their defense is going to show up. So I'm just excited to see what Tony Gibson.
It goes back to what we were talking about when we were talking about the Tar Heels, is the complementary football, and how that I think you're going to kind of know what to expect from this Wolfpack defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap, or do you want to get one more?
I got one honorable mention.
Okay.
Jordan Waters, the transfer from Duke.
Spicy.
Just because he's transferring over from the Triangle School. So
that's fair.
That is my honorable mention. But let's recap. And can you go from good to great, potentially a 10-win season, potentially a college football playoff appearance. Now you got KC Concepcion.
Watching him at all times.
Grayson McCall in this offense.
Okay. My second one was the first 4 games of the season for NC State, which, to recap, are Western Carolina, Tennessee in Charlotte. Then you play Louisiana Tech at home, and then you play at Clemson. So depending on how you finish those 4 games, you can have a really good chance of kind of propelling yourself into that college football playoff conversation.
4-0, even 3-1, I think is a success.
3-1, like you're in a good position. 4-0, it's like, oh wow, watch out for NC State.
Yes.
So I'll say this. Here's my hot take: if you go 4-0 in that stretch, I think you could be looking at an NC State that is creeping towards the top 10.
Yeah.
If you go 4-0 in that stretch.
I see it replacing Payton Wilson, how you go about doing that. That's a committee approach.
Yes,
Lewis.
yes. No,
Yeah.
it's not like you're just going to drag and drop
Yeah.
and here's the next
Yeah.
Payton Wilson. And then finally, my last one was just Tony Gibson in the defense. What do they do to continue to elevate that group in general with just how good of a defensive coordinator he is? Always excited to see what that is.
It's another edition of WRAL Triangle and 2. Check out our top storylines for the other Triangle teams. UNC in Duke, Mark Bergen, Luis Fernandez. Thanks so much for watching.